WNDS Sports and the Massachusetts Bowling Association present Candlepin Skins. It's Candlepin bowling like you've never seen it before, and now with increased prize money. Your hosts for Candlepin Skins, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome once again to another edition of Candlepin Skins. So glad to have you along. I'm Doug Brown, along with Dan Murphy. Saturday at noon here from Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill, Massachusetts. And last week, Dan, we had a couple of incoming bowlers who wound up as the first and second place bowlers, Johnny Miller and Phil Bergstrom, so they'll be trying to continue their streak here today.
That's right, and but the two bowlers coming in, a little bit to say about that, this skins format.
I have a feeling you're right, so we'll introduce our four bowlers and let you meet them, get a look at them before we start our match. First of all, our returning bowlers from last week, from North Oxford, Mass., Johnny Miller, and from Auburn, Massachusetts, Phil Bergstrom.
Okay, Johnny comes in averaging 118, and Phil is at 126.
All right, now last week, that's how they finished. Johnny Miller with a 267 took the number one spot, had a lot of breathing room, was able to coast home and finish first, with Phil Bergstrom finishing second. So as a result of that total pinfall result, they are back here today to try and continue their winning ways. But they will be joined by our two incoming bowlers from the New Hampshire area roll-off that was held at the Bowlerama in Portsmouth. From Haverhill, Massachusetts, Chris Sargent, and from Nashua, New Hampshire, Bruce Young.
Okay, Chris comes averaging 135, and Bruce is at 117.
All right, now, of course, with our four bowlers, as always, we have individual competition here on Candlepin Skins. For those of you who might be new to the program or haven't been with us for a while, this is a little different bowling format than you've been accustomed to over the years. So if you're not familiar with the rules, here's a chance to brush up. You may want to take some notes. Our bowlers compete individually. They bowl one box at a time, not like singles competition where they bowl two at a time. It's one box at a time, and in each box there is a dollar value assigned. Now that's the skin. If one bowler rolls a high score and beats all the other scores in that box, he has won the skin by virtue of having the high score. If there is a tie for the high score by two or more bowlers, then the dollar value carries over to the next box and the money adds up. Now, the top two winners in total pinfall will come back week to week for a chance to earn more money, as we mentioned Johnny and Phil have from last week. Now, in each of our two games here on Candlepin Skins, the first three boxes are worth $20. The next three are worth $25. Boxes 7, 8, and 9 are worth $30, and the 10th box in each game worth $75. Dan and I are ready. The four bowlers are too. We'll take a break, and we hope you're ready for Candlepin Skins. We're coming right back.
Candlepin Skins is brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan.
All right, before we get to it here on Candlepin Skins, as we mentioned, the New Hampshire area roll-off. Our two bowlers coming in today, Chris Sargent and Bruce Young, qualifying to be here. The guys who just missed, Bruno DeFeo finished third, Steve Bragdon fourth, and a tie for fifth, Joe Rollins and Steve Vadney. But the top two qualifiers advance to Candlepin Skins, and so Chris Sargent and Bruce Young are ready to go. And actually, Dan, Bruce Young, who will lead it off here, an interesting story. He actually finished sixth in the semifinals. You have to finish in the top five in order to move on to the final roll-off. Bruce finished sixth, but then due to one of the top five guys being unable to appear at the finals, Bruce was able to move in as the alternate, and then he finished second in the finals to get here.
Oh, big spare, too, to start it off.
Chris Sargent still working.
It's funny because that happened on the Sunday show, too, I believe, with Dan Broder. He was the alternate, and someone couldn't come, and last minute, night before the roll-off, as a matter of fact, we called him and was able to get into the roll-off and get on the show.
Here's Phil Bergstrom as we get a look now at our two returning bowlers from last week. And Johnny Miller. Yep, just one for Johnny.
Things are looking pretty good for Bruce with that spare in the first for the first skin, unless one of these bowlers can convert this.
Yeah. Good effort by Phil. Nothing doing for Johnny Miller, so the first skin of the day does in fact go to Bruce Young for $20. 9 box for Phil. And a 6 box for John. So that's how we do it here on Candlepin Skins. That spare for Bruce Young wins the opening skin for $20. Again, the fill does not count toward the skin. Does, of course, count for total pinfall as in normal scoring, but only the mark itself counts in that box for the skin.
He's going to try it again. This is the same shot he converted for a spare in the first box.
Not this time. 8 for Chris. Still looking for his first mark. And Bruce Young takes 6.
So an 8-box leads for the skin.
Off target is Johnny Miller, shaking his head as he went down toward the 3-pin again. That was the pin he hit last time. Johnny Miller is in the pocket, and that's a skin-winning strike right there. Phil Bergstrom, I should say. Did I say Johnny Miller?
Yes, you did. But
Well,
that's all right. We know what you meant.
Well, there can't be 2 Johnny Millers here. That would be very confusing. A 6 for Johnny and the strike for Phil to win the skin, and here it is.
So 2 boxes bowled, 2 skins given away. Box number 3. Bruce Young, and he throws a strike. There's Sargent, and another strike. Hello.
Well, we have a carryover here in the 3rd.
Yes, these 2 bowlers, Phil and Johnny, will be bowling for total pinfall only right now because it's already a carryover with the strikes. Whereas Phil will throw first, and he's working on a strike. Almost a double.
Pretty good first ball there.
Just the 2 and 5 pins left.
Oh, there
Let's have another one.
Johnny Miller, after 2 6 boxes, throws the bomb in the 3rd, his first mark. Well, that 3rd box didn't take very long, did it?
3 strikes and a spare. And here's Johnny Miller's strike. 1-3 pocket. Get out of there, 4-pin.
That takes us to the 4th box, which is now worth $45 on the carryover.
Chris Sargent looking for 2 strikes in a row.
Pretty good looking ball. Now Bruce Young looking for his double. Thin hit.
Hello. Both bowlers. Pretty good looking balls going in the 1-3 pocket, but I guess I'd take Chris's with the wood.
Yes. Well, Bruce, I'm sure, was aiming at that 5-pin. He just pulled it a little bit. So he'll be open here in the 4th with a 9-box. Chris Sargent's spare leads for the skin. Here it is.
He's a little help with the 9-pin. Gets the wood to come off the right sidewall.
Johnny Miller on his strike. Oh, pulled that one. Pulled that one badly to the left.
Well, luckily he's working on a strike. Now Phil working on the only spare in the 3rd, and he puts a strike on it.
And that wins the skin for $45 for Phil Bergstrom. Johnny Miller bails out his strike fill as a 7. And an 8 in the box. So the skin goes to Phil Bergstrom with his 2nd strike already.
And this is how he did it. Ball breaking from right to left, right in the 1-3 pocket. Scrambles 9 quickly, and then the 5-pin finally goes.
The 5th box worth $25. And Bruce Young in the Brooklyn side. He'll have a spare leave.
Triangle 3, 5, and 6.
Chris Sargent has thought that was going over. He has a 9-drop is what he has.
This crowd is electric today. They're right into it. Ooh. Oh, he almost got that coming back. Go far to the right. Chris Sargent will shoot at the 7. Piece of wood right next to it.
Got
no
it.
problem for Chris.
3 marks in a row for Chris Sargent. And a 9 box for Bruce Young. So Bruce Young at 54 through the first 5 boxes. Chris Sargent at 64 plus a ball to go. Now Phil Bergstrom throwing on his strike.
Well, to win the skin outright, he'd have to throw another strike. That would give him a double, and he would be well on his way to a terrific game. A little full.
Not by much.
Yeah, some work to do on the 2, 4, 7, and also the 6-pin.
Oh, great ball for Johnny Miller.
Is it going to go?
Yes.
Yes.
Johnny Miller has thrown 2 strikes, and in the other 3 boxes, he's pulled his first ball to the left. So when he's been on the head pin, he's 2 for 2. So give that skin $25 worth to Phil Bergstrom. Or rather to Johnny Miller. Okay, well now I've done it once each way, right?
We're all tied now.
So now it's even. And a 10 for Phil, and it's time for a break. Phil Bergstrom with the pinfall lead right now at 78. And you see the scores pretty impressive here in the early going, as everybody has at least 2 marks in the first 5 boxes. We'll be back with more on Candlepin Skins.
Candlepin Skins is brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks. And now with Mega Cash. Choose your dream.
Chris Sargent rolling on a spare, his 3rd mark in a row. Oh, look out.
Boy, he's had some crashing 9-pin drops. This time he leaves a 9-pin. Tough piece of wood out in front, though. Well, you can see Chris. He's trying to...
He's waving as hard as he can.
Yeah.
That wood is not frozen. That's in a bad spot right there.
He's going to have to come up left-hand tip. No.
So Bruce and Chris will be open here in the 6th, which is a $25 skin. 9 for Bruce, his 3rd 9 box in a row. Candlepin Skins brought to you in part by Tri-State Megabucks. And now with Mega Cash, choose your dream. Tri-State Megabucks.
Johnny Miller in the pocket, leaves himself the triangle 2, 4, and 5.
Johnny has truly been feast or famine here in the early going. Phil Bergstrom goes Brooklyn side.
Well, not quite Brooklyn. He didn't quite get across the bridge, I think. Coming in a little full on the head pin. That's why I left that 7-pin.
Well, Johnny pulled his 2nd shot trying to convert the triangle. Remember, 10 leads for the skin right now.
You know, and Johnny's got a tough piece of wood out in front. Well, Phil will shoot at just the 6-pin for a 10 box. Let's see. Ooh, he gets it from behind.
There's the carryover. And another 10 box. So as we check the total scores here, Phil Bergstrom in the lead at 88 with Chris Sargent just 5 pins back. Bruce Young and Johnny Miller not too far in arrears here. The 7th box is a carryover worth $55. And Bruce Young went square on the 2-pin. He was fortunate not to get a half Worcester. Oh, big first ball again. That is 3 9-drops in a row for Chris Sargent.
And none of them very cheap 9-drops either. They're out of there in a hurry. Bruce almost, wait a minute, he might convert this for a spare. Oh, well, he got his single, he got his spare, and we got a carryover so far.
Well, that was a long trip for that wood to go all the way across the lane, and while it was rolling, Chris Sargent converted his single pin, so spares for both. Well, because of the unique format here, the bowlers are made aware that they should pause to allow for rolling wood
Yeah, but not over
on the other
20
lane.
minutes.
But right, exactly. But that was a long wait.
Wow. We have carryovers with spares, so that will be a carryover in the 7th frame. Phil will shoot at the 3-6-7.
Bruce Young had hit that shot so light on the head pin that I didn't think he'd get enough action started to convert it, but with the wood rolling around, that certainly made all the difference. So 2 spares and 2 10 boxes in the 7th. And the 8th box will now be worth $85. And Chris Sargent will throw first. He's working on a spare. And he's had 3 consecutive 9 drops. Just 6 this time.
2-4, 6-10 for Chris. Bruce goes through the middle.
Chris will take an 8 in the 8th. And Bruce Young has 9. Score is pretty well bunched here as we come down toward the tail end of game 1. First game of 2 here on Candlepin Skins. Johnny Miller goes left to the head pin again, but he'll have something to shoot at this time.
Yeah, that's the 4 horsemen to the right. The 1, 3, 6, and 10.
Bill Bergstrom doesn't quite catch the head pin. Well, there's an interesting lead, the 1-7-8. But let's check Johnny Miller first. On the 4 horsemen for a spare. And that may take the skin unless Phil can match it.
Tough shot, the 1, 7, and 8.
Look out! Look out! You got it! Oh, my! What a shot. Had to wait for that one. I think he brought a piece of wood out of the right channel. Let's see.
Yeah, there's 2 pieces of wood there. Yes, he actually pulled one right out. Nice call, Doug. Over goes the 7-pin. Took the money right out of Johnny's pocket.
Creating another carryover. It's now a 4-box carryover here to the 9th. The 9th box is now worth $115.
1 and 3 pins left for Bruce. Chris Sargent back on a head pin, and what else? Another 9-pin drop.
Bruce for the spare. He's got it. Chris for his. And there it is. That's 5 marks now for Chris Sargent, 4 for Bruce Young. And now Phil and Johnny both come up working on spares. They'll need a strike to win this skin, which again is a 4-box carryover now worth $115.
And both of them have already thrown 2 strikes in this game. Well, not for Phil. Last chance.
Speaking of Phil, not the Phil he wanted either.
No.
And Johnny is off to the left again. He gets a bit of a break. He'll take a couple of extra pins, a 7 Phil on his spare. But we will have yet another carryover. Phil studied the wood and trying to figure a way to get both, and he does. And a 9-box for Johnny.
Take a look at that. Just nudging another piece of wood as it went into the pit area. Got enough momentum to carry the 10-pin.
Well, look at this now. Another carryover. The 5th box in a row. This is now worth $190. And
give
Chris
that man
Sargent
a 9-pin drop. He keeps practicing. He'll probably be able to throw strikes in another couple of years. 8-pin drop for Bruce Young. Leads himself to 7-10 though.
Both of these guys were working on spares, so good fills for both of them, and Chris Sargent converts another spare. And Bruce gets his. It's going to take a strike to win this. Well, I suppose deservedly so, with a skin carried over to $190. There was Bruce Young's spare. We have not had a skin won since the 5th box.
That's what it's all about. This has to be zeroing in one of the largest skins we've had.
190 right now, and it's going to take a strike by either Chris Sargent or Bruce Young, or by either Chris Sargent or rather Phil Bergstrom or Johnny Miller to win it. Chris Sargent filling his spare now with just 5.
And a 141 opening game for Chris Sargent.
Bruce settles for 4, and he'll have a 118, but that's kind of a disappointing 118 for Bruce because he had 5 marks in the game. Well, Chris Sargent in the pinfall lead for the moment, but he could be caught by Phil Bergstrom here in the 10th.
Oh, that's a good looking ball, but no strike for Johnny Miller. Phil Bergstrom, last chance to get this skin before we carry it over into the second game. Another pretty good looking one, but no strike.
So we will have a $210 carryover to start game 2. Phil Bergstrom converts this diamond. He could perhaps take the lead. Oh, he got it. Great shot by Phil. Always a tough shot.
He needs some help off the left sidewall for that 5-pin, but he got it.
110 for Johnny Miller. He'll be in 4th position.
116, I believe.
Oh, 116, I'm sorry. The 5 fill for Phil Bergstrom. He does not take the lead, but he trails Chris Sargent by just 4 pins with a 137. So Chris and Phil in charge right now. But Bruce Young and Johnny Miller lurking just behind. And we're going to have a huge $210 carryover when we come back for game 2 in a minute on Candlepin Skins. Before we get back to the bowling here on Candlepin Skins, well, we haven't had much money won yet because of this huge carryover for the last 5 boxes of game 1, but Phil Bergstrom has won 3 skins already, 1 each for Johnny Miller and Bruce Young, and Chris Sargent, who all he did was roll a 141, hasn't won $1 yet. Remember, this is a $210 carryover to start game 2. By the way, we were talking about the 9 drops for Chris Sargent. He had 5 of them in the last 6 boxes of that first game. 5 9 drops in 6 boxes.
And some of those, well, all of them could have easily been a strike. Nope, no spare up for either bowler. Skin is going to be wide open for Phil and John.
We have not had a strike thrown since Johnny Miller's strike in the 5th box. We've had a lot of spares, and that's created all the carryovers. Of these last 5 carryovers, 4 of them were with spares. The other one was with 10 boxes. Phil Bergstrom now. He's off target. Johnny Miller. Oh, look out!
There it is.
$210 for Johnny Miller with the strike. That zooms him to the top of the leaderboard in prize money anyway. Well, if it weren't for that strike, it was a carryover with 9s. But here is the $210 strike on the Brooklyn side.
Yes, just tripping that 6-pin, the final pin to go down for $210.
So the second box is now worth $20. Boy, what a ball that was for Chris Sargent. He's got the 4 and the 6.
And a piece of wood in front of the 6, though. You might be able to snap that off the wall on the left-hand tip and see if he can get it across.
Uh-oh. Bruce Young will have to bail out now on the third ball as Chris Sargent rolls a 10. And Bruce takes 7. Candlepin Skins brought to you in part by Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Come to Salem and save. Route 97, Salem, New Hampshire. Johnny to the left again, working on the strike. Of course, the strike gives him an opportunity to pick up some ground also, as he was in 4th position in total pinfall. First spread eagle of the day.
Ooh, just disappointing 5 on the strike.
He gains 6 pins on the field, but I'm sure he was hoping for more.
Remember, 10 box is up there for the skin, and it's going to look awfully good for Chris right now. How ironic will this be? He's going to win it with a 10 box, and he's been throwing all these 9-pin drops.
There it is. And Chris is posing for the crowd. With his $20 skin, that's his first skin of the day.
Obviously, that scoreboard is wrong. Sometimes these buttons stick.
I've noticed that. I'm confident that you'll get it all straightened out, though.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
There's another 9 drop. $20 skin here in the third.
Bruce a little bit behind himself with that release. Left the ball to the right.
Spare for Chris Sargent. 9 for Bruce Young.
Well, the scoreboard is correct.
And at the bottom of the scoreboard, those figures in the bottom of the columns are the cumulative 2-game total pinfall totals. So you can keep track of where the bowlers are relative to each other. Chris Sargent still in the overall lead. Oh, big strike. Phil Bergstrom may take this skin unless Johnny can match it. He does not. So a $20 skin for Phil Bergstrom with the strike. Took that away from Chris Sargent. Nice try for Johnny.
Leaves a 6-pin. This for a 10 box.
We've seen a lot of bowlers this year, Dan, put together runs of consecutive weeks here on Candlepin Skins. Of course, topped by Tom Morgan, who started the season with 13 weeks in a row. As you see, there you see Phil Bergstrom's skin-winning strike. But certainly a guy like Chris Sargent is a guy who's very capable of putting a long winning streak together.
Absolutely. And now he leads the field.
A little full that time, but got away with it somewhat.
Right now you count the number of times that Chris has missed the head pin with that first ball, and it's not very many. And when you continually hit that head pin with the first ball, you begin to score in this game.
This may go. Oh, not there. Didn't want to throw it there.
No, he knew as soon as he let the ball go that he's too far right.
Had a chance to pinch that 4-pin and the wood. Oh, and Bruce Young was trying to play it all to the left edge of the wood, and he just went a little too far left. And he missed again. So he'll take an 8-box. Leaving the stage open again for Phil and John.
Yeah, Phil has a chance to really gain some ground on Chris. He's sitting in the number 2 spot working on a strike. Only a 9-box up there for this skin.
It's a $25 skin, by the way, here in the fourth. Half Worcester. First one of those we've seen today. Phil Bergstrom now on his strike. Just a little full. He gets a break on the 3-pin.
He wanted to see the 10-pin go as well, but it didn't happen for him. He's got a piece of wood out in front. He's going to try to play that, see if he can get the ball or the pin to take out this 4 and 7, and the other one take out the 10. Oh, good effort. Very good effort, but couldn't get the 10-pin.
There's a 9. Remember, 9 leads for the skin, so if Phil can convert this 10 bucks, he does, for another $25 skin. So Phil is up to $110 now. Fifth box worth $25.
Well, the two bowlers, Chris and Phil, are 4 pins apart, followed by John and then Bruce.
But Phil in second has a 24-pin advantage over John in third. Spread eagle for Chris Sargent.
That close to a spare for Bruce.
Uh-oh. Chris Sargent was putting on a little display for the crowd before the show started, Dan. He had thrown a half Worcester, and then he threw purposely about 4 or 5 more balls in a row right in the opening, but that time he was not intending to do it.
Sometimes you shouldn't practice those things.
Just a 4 box for Chris.
Opening for Phil to take over the number 1 spot in the total pinfall race.
Well, Phil will take the lead even with a 9 box. Anything more than that, give him a chance to pad the lead. Not exactly a spare lead for Phil.
We're only a 10 box up for the skin.
And a half Worcester for Johnny Miller. So all of a sudden, all the bowlers have gone cold here in game 2. Oh, look out.
That's what you're talking about?
That was it. Phil has a smile, too.
And Phil now has got a tough piece of wood. Remember, this is a 10 box leading for the skin. This is not an easy shot.
Playing it the right way, though.
Oh.
Well, he did what he had to do, playing the right side. So a 10 wins the skin for Bruce Young. His second skin of the day. The score is still very close, although they're grouped together, first and second, then third and fourth farther back. We'll take a timeout on Candlepin Skins. Well, you're looking at Chris Sargent coming off a 4 box. I have a feeling this ball is going to be traveling pretty quickly. Oh, yeah. And a spare lead. Bruce Young looking for his first mark of this game, and there it is.
One. And it's a big one. Chris has got to watch this wood. Yes, yeah, it was in between the 3 and the 6. Deflected both the ball and the pin around the 6 pin.
Dan, I think it's probably fair to say when we went to that last break at the halfway point, we'll get another look at Bruce Young's strike. At the halfway point of this second game, only 1 bowler was over 50. I think that's the first time that's ever happened.
Right.
Each bowler with just 1 mark in this second game to this point.
Well, Bruce Young leads with it for the skin with a strike. And it's up to Phil to throw another strike to create the carryover, or it's going to be Bruce's second in a row for Bruce.
There it is, $25 for Bruce Young. And no on the 8 pin. Tough lead for Phil Bergstrom here, too. Almost. Well, now this is an opportunity for Bruce Young. Throwing that strike. No one else threw a mark in this box.
Yeah, if he were to get up and throw another strike, he would be right back in contention with the total pinfall race. You see, he's 30 pins behind, working on the strike.
And he is in 4th place right now, so he can take advantage of this situation if he throws a big fill here. On the head pin, gets a break on the 10.
Not an easy leave, though, because of the sleeper in the back, the 8 pin. And Chris,
another one.
Relentless on that head pin with that first ball.
That is his 8th 9-drop of the day. I take it back, his 7th 9-drop of the day. Nine fill on the strike for Bruce Young. There's another spare for Chris. And Bruce will settle for $9. Of those 7 9-drops, Chris has converted all but one into spares. This is a $30 skin here in the 7th.
Light hit by Phil. I'd like the 7-pin to go, but it's going to have left with a 6, 7, 10. Oh boy, the 189. Remember, Chris Sargent leads the skin with a spare.
Played it all the way to the right. Not enough to kick over for the 7. Boy, and Johnny Miller, who had a $5 a moment ago, is going to have to bail out of this one. The spare is good for the skin for $30 for Chris Sargent, and Johnny does get out of it with an 8. So give that skin to Chris Sargent, his 2nd of the day.
Well, crucial time right now for Bruce Young. He's at 189. You see Chris Sargent is at 210. He'll take over the lead again. But Bruce must mark.
And really, Johnny Miller must mark too if he is to have any chance. He's running 4th right now. 8 fill on the spare for Chris Sargent.
Yeah, the wood turned a little bit for Chris on the 4-7. Well, keeps his hope alive, not only for the total pinfall, but for another skin in the 8th.
$30 skin here, and Chris Sargent is waiting for the wood and studying the wood.
Throws the ball so hard that this pin is liable to pick up and just go right over the top.
Oh, got it.
Stayed in play. Got the 4-7, 2 spares in a row, and he's kind of saying that I'm coming back.
The Bruce Young strike puts him in command for the skin.
Now Phil has to be looking over his shoulder at Bruce Young and John.
John has really struggled in this second game. He had a 5 fill on a strike to start the game. Then he had a 5 box in the 5th. Trying to make something happen here.
Well, we got a kick out of the 7-pin. The 3, 6, and 10 left. Piece of wood in between the 3 and the 6 for him.
Phil Bergstrom. A little heavy, but he got away with it.
He's looking at the 3 and the 6.
2 spare leaves here. There's one. Give the skin, however, to Bruce Young, regardless, because he fired the strike. Bruce is up to $100 now. Uh-oh, Phil misfires. That could be a costly miss, as Bruce Young is bearing down on that number 2 spot right now.
He's 22 pins behind, but he's working on a strike.
Again, the cumulative 2-game total pinfalls at the bottom of the screen. So you see Chris Sargent in command. He has a 7-pin lead in first, plus he's working on a spare. But a big fill right here for Bruce Young on the strike.
Yeah, he must continue to mark.
Pretty good ball. Pretty good
would be
ball.
Huge.
Oh, that
a
is
double
huge.
Would be huge.
That's 3 strikes in the last 4 boxes for Bruce. Oh, there's a strike for Chris Sargent. Only his 2nd of the day, but after all those 9 drops, he finally got one to go out of there. That's Bruce Young's strike.
Not really an opportune time for Bruce, but it certainly was for Chris. So it's this is all said and done. The 9th box is going to be a carryover. Now it's just a fight for total pinfall.
Actually, I should correct myself. That was Chris Sargent's strike that we saw.
Almost another one by Phil, which really needs a mark to keep these other bowlers at bay. 6 Phil on John Spare. 5-pin piece of wood looking right at Phil. Not an easy shot.
$30 skin here in the 9th goes to Bruce Young. Or rather, is a carryover because of the strikes.
Oh, it's a big mark for Phil.
Spare in the 9th. And a spare in the 9th for Johnny Miller. So here we go. We move to the 10th and final box. The last skin of the day will be worth $105, but second place very much in doubt here.
This is a big, big ball for Bruce Young, obviously. Working on a double strike.
And he's looking at the scoreboard right now to see exactly how big it is.
Chris will throw first.
Oh, right in the pocket. Takes 7.
Well, he's got a piece of wood next to that 2-pin, which should help. Off target, but
Bruce
not
got
bad.
away with that. Wow.
Certainly did. He leaves himself the 1, the 3, and the 9 pins.
Yes. 4 marks in a row for Chris Sargent. And Bruce Young gets robbed. Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Look good going down.
That could cost him.
Not for lack of effort, though. What a finish by Bruce Young. He was 43 at the turn after 5 boxes. He ends up with 117. Here's Chris Sargent to spare. Just enough to carry that 8-pin.
So Chris will throw his final ball, but he's looking in pretty good shape right now.
Yeah, he's coming back.
An 8, Phil, a 135, and a 2-game total of 276.
And he will lead for the skin with that spare.
That's right. Final skin worth $105. Now, Phil Bergstrom only needs a total of 14 pins, but that includes a fill on a spare. So
it's crucial he drops 5 or 6 on the spare. Certainly doesn't want a half Worcester, spread eagle, something like that.
He actually needs 15 pins to win. So if he were throwing 8 on this spare, it would be over. Well, there's 5.
Also a 5 for.
And
there's
the
a
spare
carryover for John.
So we're going to have at least one more box here. And now here's a critical ball again for Phil Bergstrom. Man, he's got it. Big spare in the 10th, and that will clinch second place for Phil Bergstrom. Here's the mark. Great shot. So Phil hangs on. Boy, we had a skin 1 in every box of this game except the 9th. So our only carryover right here. Johnny Miller fills his spare with 3. And Phil fills his with 8. A 117 for Phil Bergstrom, a 109 for Johnny Miller. So now all 4 bowlers to decide the last skin of the day. All 4 bowlers eligible for the first extra frame. Phil Bergstrom wound up taking second place by 9 pins over Bruce Young.
So the contestants for next week already know who's coming back. All we're doing now is settling the skin for the last frame.
How much do you think Chris Sargent would like to get it? He's low man on the winnings tote board right now with $50. Oh, almost for Bruce.
But high man with a total pinfall. So there's the beauty of the skins game.
For the spare.
Oh,
yes, he's going to get it. Boy, we've had a lot of those today. Had to wait it out. Bruce Young, of course, went right for the button because he missed his spare, so he's out of it.
So it's going to take a strike, or one of these 2 bowlers want to stay in the race. They have to throw a spare.
This last skin, $110.
Oh, there
Mike for Phil Bergstrom. Only 1 ball needed here, and it's not a strike, so Phil Bergstrom takes the final skin of the day. Johnny Miller winds up as our big money winner for the day, even though he finished 4th. Chris Sargent owned the day, though, here on Candlepin Skins, 276. We'll be back to check the scores and the prize money when we come back. Candlepin Skins brought to you in part by Coca-Cola. Always the real thing, always Coca-Cola. And Chris Sargent, the real thing today, 276 for 2 games. Phil Bergstrom with a couple of marks at the end to grab second place at 254. Bruce Young third, Johnny Miller comes in fourth. But Johnny Miller was the big money winner of the day as he took that big $210 carryover to start game 2, so he winds up with 235 for the day. Phil Bergstrom with a strike in the extra box finishes second at 215. And then you see Chris and Bruce's money winnings as well. But the story in pinfall anyway, Chris Sargent, 11 marks in 20 boxes.
Yeah, he could have had a lot more strikes than he did too. Some fantastic 9-pin drops. Bruce Young made a run at the end. Thought he hit that last spare, but he came up a little short.
All right, of course, that means Chris Sargent and Phil Bergstrom will be back next week. They will be joined by Henry Pasternak and Jeff Atkins from the Springfield area roll-off. We hope you'll be with us for that. Don't forget, tomorrow at noon, it's Candlepin Stars and Strikes. I'll be on assignment, so Dan will have that one for you by his lonesome over at Park Place Lanes. We hope you join him for that. Until then, for Dan and the whole crew, I'm Doug Brown. Have a great weekend.